Okay, we're doing Quotes of Schopenhauer. This is part 2, Quotes of Schopenhauer. And he says, why are smart people hated? He said, people are silently offended when someone else shows off their intelligence, displaying intellectual superiority to them. So one should not show off how smart they are, because it often makes men jealous. He says, when they see the difference between your intellect and theirs, then they imagine that you are looking down on them, and they resent this. And out of resentment, they dislike you. So he says that's why a smart man should hide his smarts. I think it just depends who you're around. If you're around people who appreciate it, share it. But if you're around people who don't, then hide it. Okay, and be careful with women. Like with my wife, my ex-wife, I was so much smarter than her that she would just keep calling me names. Oh, you're autistic, you're crazy. I go, no, I'm just intelligent, And as simple as that sounds, that actually was a problem. Okay, why are women so childish? Okay, so you got to remember too, Schopenhauer has a lot of resentment towards women. His mother was cheating on his father, and he didn't get along with her. He kind of hated her. They couldn't even live in the same house after the father was dead. And he also never married, never had a child, living child of his own. And so he had this sort of built up resentment for women, and he was always kind of, on the edge of despair. He was the smartest guy in Germany, but they refused to give him a job. Even then, they finally gave him a little bit of a philosophy job. No one would attend his lectures. So he always felt neglected and ignored. And that's how he is. All right, so let's hear what he has to say. The question is, why are women so childish? He says, women are directly fitted for acting as nurses and teachers of our early childhood by the fact that they are themselves childish, frivolous, and short-sighted. In a way, women are big children all of their life, a kind of intermediate stage between the child and the full-grown man, like adultolescent. The man who is a man in the strict sense of the word. See how a girl will fondle and play with a child on and on for days? Women remain children all of their lives, and they always see only what is near at hand. They cling to the present. They take the appearance of a thing for its reality, and they prefer trifling matters to the most important. Women are ruled by nature, by emotion, and instinct, and not by reason. Okay. Elsewhere, he had said, the women always focus on themselves. And I do actually know there's some truth in that. What I mean by that is if I talk to a guy about weight loss, we'll talk about these are the risk factors for weight loss and whatever. If he's a skinny guy, a fat guy, so what? We're talking about weight loss. These are the 10 risk factors for weight loss, weight gain, obesity. Whereas with a woman, I don't think you can have that conversation that she takes it personally. Are you calling me fat? I've talked to a bunch of female doctors. They're always like, are you calling me fat? Are you insinuating that I'm fat? And I'm like, no, what are you talking about? But they always take it personally at first. So I was like, why are you talking to me? Are you hitting on me? It's like you can't just discuss a subject with a woman. There's always this subtext. Are you trying to hit on me? Do you want to go out with me? Are you flirting with me? Are you calling me fat? What's going on here? Whereas with the guy, we're talking about obesity. With a woman, it's always an emotional issue. And with the guy, it's just like it's always an intellectual issue. I could care less about him. He could care less about me. But with a woman, it's like, if you could care less about me, why are you talking to me? It's weird, but it's true. You don't talk to a woman the way you talk to a man. That's just a fact. Okay. I think all this effort to pretend that men and women are the same was a way to trick them into working full-time and having fewer children, especially the more educated they are, the less they want them to have babies. They say that a female's academic IQ is inversely proportional to her biologic IQ and likelihood to reproduce. Okay, going on with Schopenhauer about women. Schopenhauer says, women, they focus on beauty and manipulation and emotional influence. A woman might be talented, but they cannot be geniuses, as they are always subjective. Okay. He said, men, they focus on striving and ambition and pursuit of greatness. Men want a lasting legacy. He says, women focus on survival and the immediate concerns and their social status. The man who believes that he has found love is simply auditioning for the starring role in a tragedy. That's a good one. The female is a trap of nature for continuation of the species. The man gives himself up as an individual for the sake of reproduction. To fall in love is to be conquered without knowing it. Love is the bait, and marriage is the cage. There's a lot of truth in that. As a guy, you're trying to develop, trying to achieve something. All of a sudden you get married. The wife says, we really, should live closer to my mother because then she could babysit the kids. So we got to move to the suburbs. Then you move to the suburbs, and you're right next to her mother, and your mother's always at the house. And then whenever there's a discussion in the house, it's always a vote, and they both vote together. So you always lose the vote, even if you're right logically. You're like, oh, how come I always lose? That doesn't seem very fair. Yep. And the next thing you know, you pay for the entire house in full, and you get kicked out, and the system says, oh, you have to leave. And you have to pay for the house so your wife can have sex with some other guy in the house that you're paying for. And you're like, that's fair? That's good for society? That's good for the family? Are you insane? Anyways, that's it for Schopenhauer quotes for today.